What's going on, Conscious Crew? It's your favorite breakdown commentator. Welcome to another riveting episode of the Consciouztv platform. You already know what we're here to get into. Before we do so, please go ahead and run those likes all the way up. You guys know that thumbing up the video not only helps with YouTube's algorithm, but more importantly, it triggers up YouTube's notification system. So when you are thumbing up the video, you are literally knocking on the digital door of another Conscious Crew member and telling them to get their black asses into the sanctuary. Also, if you are an old nasty piece of Bush baby. Okay, hold on, I'm getting my intro all the way wrong because I ain't did it in so damn long. If you enjoy everything the King does here, you can always donate to the platform at $Consciouztv on Cash App and or PayPal.me/Consciouztv. That's Conscious spelled with the Z on the end, just like it is here on the channel. All donation information and social media handles are in the description box below. Bang and swang on that like. Whether you are a Bush baby, there we go, or whether you active with me in real time in these sky reads, or you part of the old nasty piece of replay gang, because unthrowing this algorithm is everything. And once again, it's a way to boost the notification system because we know that YouTube is forever and always playing on our head top. They just don't want the king to be that great. Okay. Also, make sure that you have your notification bell set to all. And last but not least, please share the stream out to wherever it is you have digital community, whether that be your YouTube community, or your Snapchat, your MySpace, the dark side of Twitter, Tumblr, or your personal OF. I don't really give a damn where you in fact later like to set them horse on the we're live, and we're certainly in color. But no further ado, let's go ahead and push on through.
I know a place where you can recharge your soul.
Baby, that's Consciouztv.
And in the midst of brokenness, he gon' see your asshole.
Baby, that's Consciouztv.
You gon' heal, you gon' laugh and catch a little shade.
Ooh, girl.
Y'all know he be slaying, y'all better stop playing. Come hear what he's saying.
Ladies and gentlemen.
All right, everyone. Happy Thursday. Hope you guys are doing well. Hopefully, we'll be here for a quick time and a good time. And definitely not a long time, but we'll see how that plays out. So you guys know that I posted on yesterday this whole controversy taking place around Young Miami. Spin that shit. All my scamming. I can't sing that song. Okay, but apparently it's a hit, girl, and as y'all talk more about it, the song just climbs on up the damn Billboard. So it went from debuting at like what 50 something to now 25 on the Hot 100. This is basically Young Miami's Carissa Please breakout single. This is the highest she's ever charted, while her counterpart, JT, is walking around here looking like a RuPaul Drag Race contestant and sleeping with a nigga who goes by Leslie at night. My God, today. I wonder, y'all think JT over there having some regrets, girl, about the way she dipped out on Carissa, which I don't blame her. I don't blame her, because Young Miami is a hot mess, girl, okay? P. Diddy's surrogate. Young Miami is definitely a low vibrational ass female who is all about low vibrational things, honey. The scammiana of it all, the fraud of it all, the violence of it all, the power of it all, the narcissism of it all. Young Miami definitely, gives very much so femme fatale, lacks zero substance, all surface level, relies on her ego, relies on all things material, all things equity within beauty, girl. So, I'm not saying it's a bad thing that JT hit it, but considering that the girl is still maintaining some type of relevancy while JT is struggling to go from, plastic to platinum. What y'all think? Y'all think JT over there, girl, scratching her ass? Y'all think she over there feeling away like maybe she jumped ship too prematurely? What y'all think? Nonetheless, okay, she got a standing ovation at this year's 2026 BET Award. She came out as a presenter and got a standing ovation as Spin That played overhead. That footage went viral, and it caused Miss India Arie, Miss I Am Not My Hair, to have some things to say. Matter of fact, I don't know why I didn't pull this up, but you guys have all of this information in my pre-recorded video, so make sure that you guys are always checking that video tab, because your boy is also doing very much so pre-recorded content a lot these days, very much so doing short form content. So make sure that you guys get into that video tab. Yeah. Let me see if I can pull this up real quick, because it's a lot. Oh, let me pull this up, chat, because there's a lot going on. I'm so glad I checked my inbox. My God, hold on. Let me get these things together for y'all. I forgot to do all this before I came live. See, if this was pre-recorded, I wouldn't have forgot to do none of this. Oh my God. You run the likes all the way up and away. Share. Subscribe. Let me see here. Miss India, trying to get her original sentiments, child. Cause I am ready for love. Oh, yes, I am. Not all of the joy and the pain. That's why I ain't gonna never be ready, bitch. And all the time that it takes. Bitch, I'm YOLO, and life is too short. I just need you to acknowledge I am here. Girl, I ain't begging no man for a goddamn thing. If you give me half the chance, I prove this to you. No, I won't. They say that love is patient, kind, and it's true. Oh, God, that song is so pitiful when you get older and you love yourself and you understand how much of a begathon I Am Ready for Love is. Girl, I Am Ready for Love was so deep when it came out. Girl, it had all of us in our choke. Girl, it had us all in a chokehold, girl. We just knew this lady was singing from the throne, girl. But once you get older, you do your work, you mature in your understanding, in your self-alignment. I Am Ready for Love is completely and utterly cringe-worthy. My God, it makes me want to ball up like a little piece of paper. Like, Jesus Christ, how male-centered and male-identified. What such self-loathing and a lack of being able to self-soothe and self-regulate, sensationalized and turned into a longing and desire for love. My God, that pitiful ass shit. Jesus. I was listening to I'm Ready for Love, and I was like, God damn, this is some pitiful, sad, pathetic ass shit. Jesus. Okay, here it is. I found it, child. Let's move on with the show, child. Hold on. Let me get all this in order. Because I am a diva. I'm a diva. Girl, y'all see how chaotic my live streams are now, girl? So this is what India initially had to say, child. Bleep. Is it sharing? Okay, here we go. Okay, she says the mass acceptance of this song itself is a crystal clear sign. I got hiccups, y'all. Of the bigger problem, I finally realized that not everybody wants to get free. And it's a very rude awakening. Okay? Now, India had commented under a thread of someone who was calling for the boycott of Spin That, which is why people thought that Arie was calling for the boycott. But she wasn't per se calling for the boycott, even though she wouldn't mind the total removal of the goddamn song from the earth, okay? The initial thread came from this user here, who said, I'm calling for a boycott of Young Miami's song Spin That. I believe it's degrading to our culture. At some point, we have to take seriously the power of music, the power that music has over our perception and the values it reinforces. This can't be the song of the summer. India commented and said, I spent my entire adult life caring way too much because I finally learned that not everybody cares with a capital C, and explaining it to them is not going to make them care. Everything you listen to, see, or eat is going to influence you. So make wise choices, y'all. Okay. Another user says, we know Carissa didn't write Spin That by herself. So are we condemning the male writers who helped create the lyrics too? Or are we only holding her accountable? I'm just trying to understand where people draw the line. India says, y'all trying to rationalize something that doesn't need it, or need it, girl. You could tell. India was flying by the seat of her panties, girl, because, you know, she was misspelling shit in the last interim. She's misspelling shit now. If you like it, listen. If you don't like it, don't listen. For clarity, I did not call for the boycott. I commented on another misspelling, girl, on the feed, girl, on the thread of someone else calling for a boy. Oh, without the cot. Got it. I don't think this should be boycotted. I think what I actually said in my comments, but y'all not actually reading my comment, this whole thing is absurd. All right. Then Miss India went on to Substack and did a 20-minute video that we're going to listen to today, where she talks about Clive Davis. She talks about some of the racism and colorism she experienced within her management as it relates to her musical projects and album covers. She talks more about Spin That and demonic frequencies within music. We're going to do a bit of dissecting. I'm going to do a bit of reaction of a video to her commentary. Shout out to India Arie. All right. And before we get there, also want to get into this, girl, because the people done went and did a little bit of homework, child, and have apparently come to find out that Young Miami song Spin That might have been inspired by her raggedy ass mammy who lived a life of crime, apparently, girl. So social media digs up Young Miami mom's past case and tries to link it to her hit song Spin That, okay? Young Miami's mother faced first-degree murder charges, my God, today. After the death of Emily Robinson in 2009, the woman was hit by the car Young Miami was driving as she fled from Macy's, where she had stolen several designer bags. In 2017, Young Miami's mother entered a guilty plea and received a sentence of 5 years in prison, along with 10 years of probation. She was granted early release in 2021. My God, today. So apparently, child, Young Miami's mother is about that life and need to have her ass on chapter 2 of Baddies USA, allegedly, okay? She facing first-degree murder charges. A woman was unalived. Mama was boosting like a motherfucker out of Sears and shit, baby. It's a lot going on. Ooh, and not they got the mom's goddamn mugshot. I haven't even seen this till now. My God. Jesus Christ, girl. Y'all gonna put India in a position to never be able to live this down. Now, let's go listen to Miss India, child, okay? Because she's gonna clarify, okay? And I'm gonna put her Substack in the comment section for you guys to support her over on the Substack. And I will be pausing to give reaction. Let's get into the things. And her audio is kind of low, so make sure that you guys crank up your volume.
Right, hello. I have been in the blogs a couple times this last week, and so there's some things I want to say. But also, The reason why I'm not writing this for my Substack, which if you know me, you know, but I'm making a video, is because I'm also celebrating the 20th anniversary of my third album. Testimony Volume 1, Life and Relationship, turned 20 years old on Friday. And all of this is going to make sense if you just follow me for a minute. But I want to address the easy thing first. It is being wrongly reported on some of these blogs that I am calling for a boycott of the song of the summer. I don't need to tell you what the song is. If you don't know, then you don't need to know. And if you do know, then you already know. And if you want to know, you can go look it up. I'm not even going to utter those words because I don't want to. But here is what I have to say. I did not call for a boycott. I commented on someone's thread who was calling for a boycott. I think people should learn how to do what's best for them. And that's what I want for people. Like, I want you to have an understanding of what's good for you and to have the love for yourself to do it. That's what I want. But also, who cares what I want for you? I know what I want for me, and I do what is best for me. Now, if this was 6 years ago, I'd have been trying to convince you how doing the best thing for you is easy and that you should love yourself and blah, 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 blah. But I'm not here to convince anybody of anything anymore because I learned that it doesn't work like that. What I'm here to do is emanate what I emanate and share my philosophies, and whoever it resonates with, yay, and whoever it doesn't, that's okay too. So let me tell you my thoughts about this song of the summer. But let me tell you my thoughts about music, because that's what this is really about. Everything has a frequency. People are like, it's just a song. No, nothing is just in.
She is allowed to have an opinion, and everybody else is allowed to have an opinion about her opinion. I think we're all clear on allowed and rights.
Everything has a frequency. Colors have a frequency. Names have a frequency. Cities, states have different frequencies. Mountains have a frequency. Rivers have a different frequency from mountains. Mountains by rivers have a specific frequency. Food has a frequency. And music is pure frequency. It is sound frequency. And when you put sound together with words and it's rhythmic, you get inside of people's subconscious mind. I'm not.
Not where all my scamming ass Wiccans at, baby.
To convince you of this, I'm telling you this is what it is.
Sure.
It's what I know to be true. And so, because if it's not true, it's funny, I'm not really necessarily saying this to convince anyone. I'm saying it because I want to sing this next song. If it is not true, then why did they use it in commercials? That is how people get things to stick with you. That's how. The rhythmic, melodic use of words.
Yes.
It's a frequency.
Yes.
That's why. So the other day I saw a post of someone making a Gen X post, which I am Gen X, post talking about this commercial that was out when we were like 8. It was for Big Red Gum. And when he sang it, I was like, I remember that whole thing from when I was 8, because feeding the subconscious mind, you can just pull it right from back here. Say goodbye a little longer, make it last a little longer. Give your breath long-lasting freshness with Big Red. That was the short version, because it was longer. That Big Red freshness lasts right through it. Your fresh breath goes on and on while you chew it. Say goodbye. Like, things stick with you like that. And that is the power of a song, of lyrics, melody set to a rhythm. That's the power of it. It has power over you, over us. And so that's why I do what I do the way that I do it, because I fully have seen and learned and understood the spiritual power of music to program people. In the beginning of my career, which Acoustic Soul just turned 25 this year, and again, Testimony Volume 1 is turning 20 just this last Friday. In the beginning of my career, when I released Acoustic Soul, it was a philosophy that I held, a theory.
Yes.
That a hypothesis. That's what we learned in science class, right? It was a hypothesis that was like, this is what I think about music, because this is what it has done for me. And I learned over the years by being all around this world and talking to people about music not just my music, but music and what my music has done for them and how it speaks to them and what it means to them and how it's helped them to change and to grow, I have learned that it is true. And so the theory that I walk through life with is that just like food, everything's not just, it's just food. That's not true. All food is not equal for your body. Some things taste good but aren't good for you. Some things don't taste good and they are good for you. Some things taste good and they're good for you. Something like, it's not just a song. No song is just a song. It is a frequency. What you do is your choice.
And that's where I want to put a pause right there. Because here's the thing. I'm not even in disagreement with anything India is saying. My issues are around the way she's framing the conversation and the way that she reduces the sentiments by making music, in this case, more powerful than the very thing she just emphasized right now, which is choice. And I think that a healthier, more historically accurate framing of her sentiments should have, for one, because this is a layered thing, should have, for one, been targeting the long-standing history of music being weaponized in this way to encourage quote-unquote low vibrational behavior like gang violence and murder and pew-pewing and robbing and stealing, etc., that have been long held by the men of hip-hop. Because it's almost comical that spin that is where the hard stop is. It's almost kind of outlandish that where we're going to have a hard stop, where we're going to absolutely draw the unequivocal, inarguable line in the sand, is with spin that versus all of the drug trafficking music led by Little Weezy F Baby, and don't forget the baby, Young Jeezy's drug trafficking ass pew pew music, Rick Ross's drug trafficking pew pew violent ass music. One of my favorite, most violent pieces of art is by Lil Wayne himself. And it is, baby, I play this track like it's a damn scripture every other day. Like, what I need to draw out my alter ego. Okay? And y'all know what it is, honey. Going to a goblin. Hold on. And let's read the lyrics, girl. What's the name of this damn song? Hold on, let me find the lyrics, girl. Steady mobbing. I'm talking about going to a goblin. Child. Hold on. Steady mobbing, girl. It's one of the most violent ass songs I have ever heard. Girl, just go back into all of Gucci Mane's musical catalog, bruh. Dark and nefarious. I find it inconceivable that spin that, which is just glorifying motherfuckers who get money by any means necessary, whether it's by scamming, whether it's by whamming, whether it's by selling. Oh my God. So let's check out these lyrics from Steady Mobbing. F these ninjas, I'ma spare everything but these ninjas. I flip the GUN and GUN but these ninjas. Take the knife off the AK and cut these ninjas. Yeah, and F these beaches. I swear I care about everything but these beaches. I don't care. I so what these beaches. And I put young moolah, baby, way above these beaches. Okay? Shout out to the narcissism of it all. If it ain't broke, don't break it. And if he ain't shook, I'm going to shake him. Hope I don't look weak, because when a wolf cry wolf, you still see that wolf teeth mother futuristic hand GUN. If you act foul, you get 2 shots and 1. I'm at your face like lamb cum. You ninja softer than Roseanne's son. You cannot reach me on my Samsung. I'm busy effing the world and giving the universe my damn tongue. Crazy mother lover, I am one. But the crazy thing is, I began as one. All white bricks. I'm straight like it's jumping back to 36 ninja. Big house, long hallways, got 10 bathrooms. I could all day. Now let's get into Gucci Mane's verse. What the F is up? Is Gucci Mane the G? As Titty Boy, no pity boy, the Scar City, the city boy. So icy, so no Nike, boy, just Gucci, Louis, Prada, excuse me. Gucci Mane keep shitting on me while that boy keep buying jewelry. East Atlanta cocking hammers, bandanas on car antennas. No, we do not talk to strangers, just cut off them ninjas' fingers. Gucci's armed and dangerous. Cocaine, codeine, and angel dust. This AK-47 will hit you anywhere from the ankle up. GUN same size as me alone, clip long as Pringles can. 4 or 5 Desert Eagle on me. You'll think I'm an Eagles fan. Tony Braxton sniper rifle make you never breathe again. F that nigga, unalive that nigga, bring him back and unalive him again. Girl, what? These niggas talking about cocaine, angel dust, Molly. They talking about having so much hate for a ninja that they will power a ninja to death, resurrect his ass with the power of the Holy Ghost, just to power his ass back to death all over again, girl. What? Now get into Weezy's final verse. Yeah, the money is the motive, okay? The glorification of the material world, honey. Isn't this what Satan or Saturn returned to tempt Christ, the consciousness thereof? Bow down from higher consciousness and serve the lower vibration of the world through kingdom and adoration and having fans and the accumulation and amassing of immense wealth. My God. Yeah, the money is the motive. F with the money, it get ugly as coyote. Okay, I'm reloaded. Better pull it if you told it. I buy a pound, break it down, and put it in a stogie. Swagger so bright, I don't even need light. I'm with a model broad. She don't even eat rice. But would you believe it? She eats. I gotta curve the language. Ikes. Okay, it's the derogatory term for lesbians. And she asked me for a picture, so I gave her 3 strikes. Yeah, I'm the man around this mother. I'm so hot, you probably catch a tan around this mother. This rap game, I got my hand around this mother. Yeah, I said the game, but I ain't playing around this mother. Yeah, I'm the best to ever do it. And you're the best at never doing ish. If you the ish, then I am sewer rich. Try me and I'll have your people reading a eulogist. I swear you can't F with me, but I can F your girl and make her nut for me, then slut for me, then unalive for me, then steal for me. And of course, it'll be your cash. Then I'll murder that bitch and send her body back to your ass. And this is where the hard stop is spin that. So I think, for one, this is... Like, when I think about the most dark music, once again, Lil Bootsy, all his music is pew pew pow pow. There have been whole think pieces and data around Lil Bootsy's music where statistically his music has contributed to the premature incarceration of young black men in our community due to his propaganda and his musical messaging. So hearing, because it's not just India Arie, it's Nikki Gilbert, it's Carrie Hilton, and then there's all these other viewers who done got in on the whole spin that down. And I'm just like, y'all are also the same generation that lived through and never protested through the prime of Trina, the baddest, Little Kim's, hardcore, Foxy Brown's, China Doll. What are we talking about exactly? Now, once again, going back to India Arie, the power of choice. This is kind of where her and I are going to split off a little bit. Because on one hand, India is making this big case and this big argument for music having power and influence. And I want to put a heavy emphasis on influence. I don't give a fuck how curated and organized and intentional a instrumental or a track is. At best and at its strongest, simply a influence. It does not actually control what you do. An influence is a whisper. An influence is a nudge. An influence is a pressure. The reality of what you do comes down to who you have decided you are. And I made this point in my previous commentary in the pre-recorded content about this on yesterday, that the issue isn't really so much as the music these days or low vibrational music existence in and of itself. The real issue is the condition of people. Because to somebody who knows who they are, who has very strong ethical lines, and has a grounded identity, garbage music is just garbage music. Like, I can listen to Steady Mobbin all day, can listen to the most ratchet, gutter, bang, bang, vampirist, lifeless, anti-human music that exists. I'm not going to go out and commit a goddamn homicide. Because I have spent 24 hours, girl, slapping 5 with the damn top down over a 70-degree summer day with the boys, baby, on my gangster shit. I'm not coming home with a mug shot just because I listen to fuckery and foolery all day. I'm not coming home with a case because I've been listening to the bush all day. Okay? When you are a grounded, healthy person, music is just that. Music. Now, if you are somebody who's predisposed to crime and you have trauma and impulse control and you're already kind of pre-geared and preset to be with the shits, music may be the sweet icing on top of the cupcake, baby. That may topple you over. And as I said yesterday, I'm going to reiterate it today. That is not the responsibility of artists. I understand what India Arie is saying about frequency and music. Yes, music is an influence like everything else. News is an influence. Propaganda is an influence. Messaging of all kinds is an influence. All these things have influences. But people are the product also, and the real product of their families. They're the real product of their upbringing, and they're the real product of parenting. And that's ultimately where the sole and exclusive responsibility has to be. It's first and foremost on the person who's listening and their personal responsibility and autonomy and agency as it relates to being able to distinguish between art and bullshit and your real life and the real consequences of choices. Okay? And also the nuance of how a person was cultivated and what condition they are in as a adult due to either the competency or incompetency of their upbringing, of their community, of their lived experience. But to put that solely on artists is absolutely outlandish and ridiculous. To put that solely on artistic expression, to put that on entertainers is a case of mistaken identity. It's a projection that's in the wrong direction. Because what we would get better movement out of is not by focusing on a raggedy bitch like Young Miami who should have the right to make whatever type of art she wants to. Because I believe that within art should be allowed to be funny, goofy, serious, meaningful, violent. I believe that all things should be able to exist in the realm of art. Art should be able to encompass both the light and the shadow, the duality and oneness of it all. Okay? That's the whole purpose of art. That's also the whole purpose of sex. That's the whole purpose of a journal. That's the whole purpose of a subjective outlet to ventilate said aspects of self and identity, no matter how broken or how whole, that these are the appropriate spaces for the expression of that self. Okay? What I would love to have more of a conversation about, though, is the way that parents are setting their children up to be weak-ass adults. The way that families are neglecting emotionally, mentally, intellectually, and physically young people who become raggedy-ass adult people. I have cousins, as I said in my commentary yesterday, who were raised to be bookworms, raised to be obsessed with information, with scholarship, with politics, and now as adults, they're off to Ivy League colleges and institutions. You could not pay them to give a fuck about what Young Miami is doing, or what Young Money is doing, or what every artist under Bad Boys is doing. And even if that shit was playing amidst them, who they predominantly are bookworms and nerds. That's where they're centered, and that's where they will forever return to as a people. Their lives and choices are not going to be shaped by the existence of Spend Act. We need a heavier emphasis on parents and families and communities doing their role in cultivating well young people so that they become older, well adults. Because we're talking about influence, right? You know who's a bigger influence than music? Your parents and their boundaries and their proper discipline. And the competency of their parental style. Families. And their competency as it relates to protecting the values and instilling those values within their young people and preserving those values so that those values can live on in those young people until they become adults, until they become husbands and wives and boyfriends and girlfriends and moms and dads and coworkers and friends. Because you have scores and hordes of adults who take in hip-hop, take in rap, take in the most gutter-ass shit, and yet live a corporate life, are wonderful parents, are wonderful contributors unto the system, etc. Because Young Miami is not their God and not their motherfucking leader. A hip-hop artist is not their God and their motherfucking leader. This is what I find so impressive about Megan Thee Stallion. The fact that her art is pussy popping. Pussy popping, fuck these ninjas, misandria, female narcissism. I love all that for her in her music. But in her real life, a business owner owns Popeyes, owns franchises, college educated, degreed, and a graduate, has set her future and her life up beyond the short-termness of music. I would say Cardi B, but that bitch stay with too many cases for me. It's clear that Cardi's music is a tad bit of a reflection, girl, of the life she actually lives, okay? I was going to say Cardi too, but I can't do it, child. Okay? That bitch stay too much in front of a goddamn judge for my liking. So, music, yes, powerful. Frequency, yes, powerful. Influence, yes. But that's nuanced because music will only influence a person making a bad decision if the person's condition is already broken and weak. If their foundation of self is already flawed. And once again, even in that case, that's not the responsibility of Young Miami, unfortunately. So we got to take some of this parasocial obsession with celebrities off the table and put more onus when it comes to conversations like this on parents, on community, etc., who actually have an obligation to raise well people, to bring people into this world who they can take care of, who they can support adequately, who they can designate some proper morality and ethics unto, so that you don't have to worry about what their exposure of spin that will be when that time comes. Because when you each one teach one and raise them up right, you don't have to be so concerned about these shallow, superficial areas of life. A lot of people in this society are not doing their job and then want to assign the problems to other people who never signed up for that job to begin with. Stop trying to make a step parent out of fucking celebrities. They're not here to raise your children. They've not asked to raise your children. They don't even make children related content. If your trifling, sorry, lazy ass is not doing enough parenting to keep Young Miami out of the headphones of your children, that's a reflection of you. If your non-parenting lazy ass isn't doing enough to keep Young Miami off your TV screens in front of your children, that's on you. That's a problem of community and parenting, predominantly. Yes, culture plays a role. The internet has not made it any better. But you know how you curve that as a parent when you are hell-bound and intent on preserving the values that you're trying to instill in your children, is you cut their ass off from the internet too. I'm sorry, baby. You're going to have to be the non-cool one in school. I'm so sorry, baby. You know, and you'll be thanking me later, baby. Because, see, while your friend's going to grow up to rob and boost and scam and steal out of stores because of spend that, I'm raising you to be the motherfucker who owns the institution that a motherfucker has to boost out of. While they'll be in the Walmart boosting, bitch, you'll be owning the Walmart. While they'll be in Target, while they'll be at a cubicle, bitch, running them and scamming, you'll be owning the corporation, girl. That they'll be stealing from, honey. You'll thank me later. All right? See, everything comes down to personal agency. And we can't forget that. Despite living in a culture that does over-sensationalize celebrity culture, that does over-sensationalize and make celebrities bigger than life, larger than life, almost make them the goal point, make them the author in and of itself. But the truth is still the truth. That is not their responsibility. And if community, family, and parents would step their pussy up, you could have celebrity culture without having produced a people that pedestalizes and worships celebrities in this way. That what they're mimicking through art becomes something that a everyday person wants to in real life emulate. Because if my child ever got out here, if my nieces and nephews ever got out here and caught themselves wanting to boost because of Young Miami, baby, the first motherfucker I'm going to have an issue with is the guardian and the parental figure. And if that's me, bitch, that's my opportunity to take a long look at the man in the motherfucking mirror. It's my job to keep the people that I'm in charge of their minds and their hearts, etc., away from a goddamn spin act. Away from a damn Nicki Minaj. Away from a Lil F Baby and a Young Money and a Tigger and a Bodak and Kodak. That's my job. Now, that job, once again, may be difficult because of the internet. But guess what? When you decide to bring children into this world and you decide you sign up for a very complex life. You read the room far before children got here, bitch, and saw how crazy and erratic, spontaneous, and sometimes how difficult life can be, and still decided to have them. So that's all of your burden and all of your responsibility. Anything else I want to say before we move on? Okay, I think for now, let's just play.
You know where I stand. But I don't think we need to boycott it. What's that going to do? Because there's people who want to listen to it. Let them eat their fast food or whatever they like. Let people do what they like. And you decide what you want to do. And if you had asked me this 6 years ago, I would have been trying to convince you of what to do. But I have since learned that is not my place. And it doesn't work. It doesn't work. And I'm not going to be spending.
Okay. I'm seeing comments. Okay. So people saying Cardi B is a lovely mother. By what definition? Because I think that's debatable. If you're asking me. Cardi B being a lovely mother would entail her keeping her ass out of motherfucking prison and keeping her ass away from criminal charges and from situations that can cost her her livelihood, which are intimately tied to her children, and from compromising her very life, which is directly tied to her motherfucking children. When she ran down on Ra Ali at that airport and wanted to whip that woman ass despite her being in a wheelchair, I don't think that a clear, conscious woman who was putting her mothering first, putting her children first, would have thought to run down on a bitch at an international airport and risk getting her ass arrested and or risk being put in a situation where she could be civilly sued and have money being taken out of her household that is intimately tied to her children, away from those children. When the bitch was around here trying to galvanize the RICO up over two women that her man was choosing to fuck. And damn near had to do a damn 5 to 10. I don't think a woman who's clear and grounded in her mothering and putting her children first would have put a man first and would have put two women who were only allowed to do what they were allowed to do because her man gave them permission to do it, would have made that type of a choice. And if I was the child of a mother who behaved this way, I'm not sure that these are the type of things that I would be able to be proud of as it relates to my mother getting caught up in. So I'm very strict when it comes to parenting. I don't play about people who choose to bring people into this fucking world and the responsibility that they have to another living thing. And I don't have a lot of grace and a lot of space and a lot of empathy and a lot of compassion for none of that type of bullshit. Because at the end of the day, children don't ask to be here. They didn't sign off to be here. Children should come into this world intentionally, and children should come into this world unto people who are mature enough to bear the burden and the responsibility of caring for children properly, which also has a lot to do with the decisions you make for yourself that roll over to your children. Because Cardi B has put herself in a lot of dangerous ass situations that could have costed her children. And that's already bad enough. They don't have a funky ass father to depend upon because he out gambling through the goddamn casinos and owing everybody out of the woo-ha and in and out of the goddamn hospital, sitting on fucking booty pads and shit. And then to have a quote-unquote gangster-ass mammy who has not fully internalized, girl, that she's free. And that Love and Hip Hop is behind her. And I just uploaded content yesterday of her arguing with Akbar V and threatening this lady with violence. I got people that can touch you. I got people that can do things to you. Ain't we just saw what happened to another motherfucker who played them same Harani Ho games with T.S. Madison? Now, what if Akbar V was to take her ass through there? You think a good mother, a competent mother, a loving mother would be out here putting herself in risque scenarios like that? Would you appreciate and be behind your mother? Especially at a time in your life where you have to depend upon her as a young person? Out here making domestic terroristic threats? Running downtown in her driver to go meet up with fans to whip their ass? Throwing shoes at a bitch's head? At an industry event? Are these all things that are now all of a sudden a part of the loving mother package? And look, I like Cardi B. But bitch, I'm going to call a thing and cut her right down the motherfucking middle, because what else are we doing here? That couldn't be my motherfucking mother. She wouldn't be getting no motherfucking passes from me if she was out here showing her black ass like that. I don't know what type of mothers y'all want. I don't know what type of mothers y'all are used to. But baby, my mother could never. Okay, see, we don't went into a whole other spiel, girl. Let's get back to Miss India.
My wheels trying to convince people of things. I believe what I believe. I emanate a certain thing. I do it consciously. I hope that it is helpful to someone, and that's all I can do. If you want to go be programmed by anything, or you want to go eat anything, that's on you, and enjoy.
I disagree. Parenting is nuanced, CTV, as you said not long ago. There's no perfect parents. Even when you do your best as a parent, some kids... See, two things can be true at the same time. I technically did what I was supposed to do as a parent. Now, whether the child takes that and hit the ground running is a whole separate thing. But no, baby. I did what I was supposed to do. I nurtured, I loved, I provided, I invested, I instilled. Therefore. Now, if you turn around and want to be a young juvenile delinquent, that's on you. If you want to turn around in your adult life and make a stupid ass choice that costs you your life, that's unfortunate. But baby, I've done my job. Your perception and the choices you make will be yours, and mine's will be mine's. And I'm only responsible for the choices that I make. And when you go and fuck up, you only have yourself to blame. You won't be able to look at mommy and daddy and say, well, mommy and daddy gave me a ratchet ass life and they were never there for me. And I was raised up poor and abused and emotionally neglected. Oh, no, baby, you won't be able to look back through that lookbook and find none of that. You had parents that were present, parents who were invested, parents who were loving, parents who gave you the hard talks when needed, gave you the affirmations when needed, always affirmed their love. If you went off and got dizzy and got dazzled, baby, that's on you. Mommy and daddy did their job. I am not one of those people who believe that there's no such thing as a perfect parent. I absolutely believe in perfect parenting. Perfect parenting is in principle, not per se in perception. There are things that objectively define you as a good parent. And if you are implementing those things and committed to the implementation of those things, you are a great parent and a perfect parent to me. I'm not one of the people who believe that just because the child get wiggly and raggedy, that's always a reflection of the parents. However, parents and community and family do largely have the predominant influence. Definitely not an artist. And it's okay if some kids don't see it that way, baby. Perception is reality. But that's perception. Yes, God.
Because I don't know you. I care about humanity as a whole. I care about everyone, but I don't know you. So you go do what you want to do, and I'll go do what I want to do. And if you go read my comments, you will see that that is actually the gist of what I said. Now, I want to talk about testimony volume 1.
Okay, so before she get into that, I want to say this last piece, and then she's going to get into Clive Davis and all that. It sounds like to me, India also is still kind of being passive aggressive, and she's not really saying what the hell she want to say. On one hand, she's saying, look, the song don't need to be sensationalized and successful because it's bad and it's poisonous and it's stupid. We could do better than this. But at the same time, she's trying to find that middle space because she's also being critiqued and criticized. And I think she don't want to look like a hater, but I think what she really wants to do is actually hate. And to be honest, I would prefer her to just actually commit to doing that. Because to me, it sounds like she's not saying what she really want to say when she says she wants people to make decisions that are good for them. Well, clearly, Carissa is doing just that. She feels good about her shit. She's making money off her shit. She seems to have no interest in busting a U-turn. Okay? She seems to be very well doubled down in her foolishness. What it sounds like India Arie really want to say is, Young Miami, bitch, you don't love yourself. And you sensationalizing that low frequency version of yourself to young people who may be more perceptive toward that type of messaging versus the ones they get from their parents or church is really what you're doing. And you need to go sit your ass down and get some motherfucking help and do some real deal shadow work, sister, because you are really shortchanging yourself while you think you're out here winning on the devil's little ass dollar. That's what it sounds like India really want to say. But she kind of being politically correct. But how y'all feel? I prefer India to just go ahead, baby, and let the shit rip. Shit, you already done made it to the edge of the threshold, girl. I'm a Scorpio, so I'm gonna just go ahead and jump. I'm not gonna get this close to the edge, baby, and not leap, baby. I'm gonna go ahead and just take that dive over, honey. I already done got the shit started. I already done got the shit popping. Hoes already misunderstanding what the hell I'm saying, so I might as well just say what the fuck I really want to say, honey, because I'd rather be on that cross for who I am and what I really mean than to have to be on that cross any motherfucking way. As a result of trying to wade in the water and wade the middle ground. Say what you want to say, India.
Turning 20 years old. The reason why I had my phone when I started this video is because I was looking at the track listing. Because let me tell you how juicy this album is, okay? This album has, first of all, it has I Am Not My Hair. I Am Not My Hair. And it features Akon, which is what I want to talk to you about. So let's get into that. Hold on. It also has...
like she about to say some things, baby. She about to say some things.
Oh, people. Oh my gosh, it has There's Hope, Private Party, Good Morning, da, 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 da. Heart of the Matter, India song, India, India, India. I worked so hard on every album I have. That's why sometimes people...
Oh yeah, I'm glad you said that, Bella. The music most definitely is poison, and it's been poison for a long time. So I think that also would have been a better messaging too, because everything that she said could be applied generally to music. I can even understand her using Spin That as a vehicle to pivot into the conversation about how harmful and how life-giving music can be in its duality and polarity. But that's not, unfortunately, where she pivoted to initially. It was just more so a focus and concentration on Spin That in and of itself, which for some of us kind of was a misread, because it's like, girl, the music, like some of the music, a lot of the music has been trash. And there's music more dark than this and lyrical content by rappers darker than this, once again, that have been long perpetuated by the men of hip-hop before the women of hip-hop could even get up in this thing, who still represent a minority within hip-hop, which is still a male-dominated space. So if she was going to use Spin That to have that conversation, because Spin That is happening within the moment, okay, cool, I can understand that. If she would have pivoted to, hey, Spin That is trash, and we don't need that right now within the culture where Black people are losing a lot of bullshit. Da, 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 da. But let's talk about the harmfulness of music and how music has influenced a lot of gangsterism, a lot of drug culture, a lot of grape culture, a lot of misogyny, a lot of self-loathing, a lot of community destruction. Because while my good sis Young Miami out here, girl, glorifying all the scammers and the boosters and the fraudsters, honey, the men, on the other hand, have glorified all of the violence, all of the bloodshed, all of the pillaging, all of the drug trafficking, human trafficking. Because what she said, once again, it is a universal conversation about music as a whole in terms of music's potential and its resonance with the lower self and the emotional body and the trauma body, or its resonance upon the higher self and the divine self. It can inspire either one of those selves. Also, I think my other, the other hair that's kind of up my ass as it relates to the way that India framed this conversation is, and I'm not saying that us as a people, we don't have a responsibility in operating accordingly and upholding and instilling and washing and rinsing and keeping in a cycle the things that we value as a community and making sure that those things are the overall optical messages of the community. Like when you look at the Black culture, you see these positive attributes. You see the entrepreneurs, and you see the scholars, and you see the educators, and you see the good dads and the good moms, and you see the intelligence, and you see the beauty, and you see the inventions, and you see da-da-da-da-da. Sure. But at the same time, considering that we have 400 plus years of effort by Black people to liberate themselves, and have seen literally the receipts of how even when we play into respectability politics, our efforts are still smashed to smithereens. So yes, there is a conversation around the role respectability politics play within a system that runs heavily off of perception, and perception leading to how people treat other people, as shallow and superficial and conditional and tired as that is. Unfortunately, yes, it is a reality, but at the same time, respectability politics has never saved us. That's why India Arie's music has never saved us. That's why Music Soul Child's music has never saved us. That's why Common's music has never saved us. Macy Grace's music has never saved us. Neo Soul has never saved us. Dr. King couldn't even save us. Malcolm X didn't save us. When are we going to also keep in mind and understand, girl, that respectability politics are not our savior? They didn't like us when we were dressed in our tuxedos, when we were dressed to the nines, when we were minding our economic business, when we were focused on our collective economic interests and being competitors within this system and raising our children accordingly and buying Black, investing in Black, and being all Black. And still they sent their bombs. Still they sent their village. Still they sent their soldiers. Still they sent their bullets. Still they sent their violence. They did it anyway. So in the underbelly of like the superficial conversation around making Blackness look well, is it like, really, who is that message ultimately really for when Black people of color are nested within a system of a group that has power, for one, in this system, and then who doesn't have a moral conscience as it relates to also holding power over other people? So then in our willingness to play their game and to play into respectability politics, we do so with the flawed premise that we can make a moral appeal to a system that doesn't have a moral conscience. And that's why we end up secularly in the cycle with the saltine, narcissistic, overbearing, genocidal, homicidal, satanic, Luciferian ass political system that has quote unquote founded America and is forcing everybody that doesn't fit its status quo to be a willful slave upon its plantation. So then that has to, if we're intelligent, put Black people, certain types of Black people, within a certain type of perspective rather than just solely demonizing them. Like when I look at Young Miami, I don't look at her as a villain per se. I look at her as a product of the types of Black people who just eventually join the system because they can't beat it. So you're going to have your foot on my neck anyway. And there's no way for me to earn your respect. There's no way for me to earn safety amongst you. So however way I gotta survive within this shit is what it is, bitch. And if that's boosting and scamming and stealing and drug trafficking, then so be it. And yes, at front facing, that's fucked up. Because that message gets marketed and then gets sent out. And then young people who are confused and have identity issues and come from traumatic upbringings, from families and parents who are not doing their fucking job, then look to assign parenting responsibility to these idols and icons, and then it all becomes a motherfucking mess. But the reality is that even all of the low vibrational behavior of the Black community in its underbelly is a result of white genocidal capitalism. And when we don't keep the script there, and we don't be careful and clear about who our enemy really is, we end up assigning a villainous role to the Black people who are simply trying to survive someone else's system through this type of debased messaging, propaganda, and shuck and jiving. Because even when it comes to the raccoons of the community, and that's what I consider the Young Miamis and the P. Diddy's and all the rest of the dark-spirited, nefarious ass, gargoyle, Illuminati worshiping ass, Black Boule members, Ozemfra Winfrey's, the Gayle Kings, you know, the people who could be categorically listed as sellouts. I even have a sympathy for them because I get it, bitch. And somewhere in your unconscious, you have come to the conclusion, girl, that you cannot beat these motherfuckers. Okay, so you're going to join them. Hey, have at it with your survival tactic. Still worth criticizing, sure. Can call you out for it, sure. But for me, even when I'm criticizing the raccoons of the community, I always round that up to reminding us that even our raccoons are a byproduct of the real enemy of the state, the real enemy unto our people. And that's who we got to keep our emphasis on. So messaging like this, you know, at a shallow, superficial, very surface level, it's like, yeah. But ultimately, it scratches the ass of my intellect because it's kind of intellectually dishonest and it's a warped perception of what really the problem is and what the solutions really have to be, which is not in respectability. That's why India Arie, as grounded as she is, because she was our first Solange baby, okay? Barefoot, bald head, running through the fields of corn and daisies. That's why even her alignment as a soul and her personal liberation as an individual still did not save her either. Now, it may save her integrity, it may save her soul, but she ultimately interfaced with the demonstrative system in the same way that everybody else did, because it doesn't matter. And that's what I don't think India Arie is really hearing herself say, because even now, she's sitting here still with a mediocre career that even she says at some point in this commentary really was a string of luck. A string of luck, because even the science to her staying true to herself still wasn't enough to dismantle all the ill effects and all of the adversities that she still nonetheless had to face off with, despite being a woman who believed in herself, despite being a woman who was comfortable in her natural beauty with her natural hair and her natural melanin, despite being a woman that was hell-bent on being true to herself. And still she was thrown about, disposed of, devalued, and sharpened down to ultimately nothing. So when we think about the way that we have to resolve the plight of Black and brown people within this system, we do have to transcend the shallow, egoic solution mindedness around, well, if I just be modest enough, if I just cover up enough, if I just play the good boy or the good girl enough, if I just be Christian enough, if I just be educated enough, if I show that I'm not like them, if I make myself the exception, that even as India Arie, who played into the exceptionalism and tried to set herself apart and to be the black person who was on the right track and wanted all the right things and was healthy and whole, still found herself swallowed up in the belly of the beast. Because there's no way, India, for us to perform our way out of this shit. We have a problem, motherfucking Houston, and it is not us, it is them. And when we have people like Young Miami existing, those are the people who are simply doing what they have to do to survive somebody else's motherfucking nightmare. Performing and tap dancing and all of this shit has never worked for Black people. Not as a whole, not collectively. I think we've underestimated the predicament that we're in when it comes to racist capitalism. And I think that whatever we come up with as a solution is going to have to look very, 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 very fucking different than the way that we've ever envisioned it and ever spoken about what a solution looks like. And what that solution is going to have to look like is going to have to largely also focus on recognizing the existence of the problem as it is. Because we have 250 plus years to show for what it looks like when Black people clear up our end and still end up attacked and demolished and dismantled. So now what? Now what? We have historical proof that we cannot perform our way out of this shit. So now what? We have proof that we can't shuck and jive our way out of this shit. Now what? You still think that this is about who's showing their titties and who's not showing their titties? Who's talking about their coochie and who's not talking about their coochie? Who's talking about scamming and who's talking about God? My God. Gospel music hasn't even been able to liberate us out of this shit. Yet alone putting an emphasis on a hip-hop artist message. You have a whole genre of neo-soul and gospel, and that shit has not even been able to liberate us. How much fucking more is the trajectory and choice of a hip-hop artist, or hip-hop artist, going to make in a system that's not influenced by how we behave, but more so by the character of our enemy? My God. Let me shut the hell up.
Are no skips because I don't know what a throwaway song is. I just work hard on them. And the reason why I did that is because I believe in the power of music, of the word, of the tongue. And there's a certain experience that I want for myself. If I'm going to go around and sing these songs for the rest of my life, there's something I want for myself. There's also something that I want for you. It doesn't matter what I want for you. It matters what you want for you. And so let's talk about I'm Not My Hair for a moment. But this is where I'm going to talk about the other reason I've been in the blogs this week, which is my comments about Clive Davis. In that comment, I basically said, watch what kind of stories you're going to hear. And I said, I have my own stories, but my stories are minimal compared to other people's, so I don't need to share my stories. It's whatever. I'll save that for the memoir or whatever. But let me tell you about my worst stories. There is a record label executive who was honored at the BET Awards the other day. If you watched it, you know exactly who she is. I just saw a post from one of the singers from the R&B group Troop. You know, spread my wings, fly away. You know, Troop. And he was being vulnerable, and he said it hurt his feelings that this record label executive didn't say their name when she talked about all of the groups that she had brought out to the world. And I commented on his post. And then I thought, now's a good time to talk about how I feel. Because people keep saying, well, tell us your Clive Davis story. Tell us. I do have some stories about Clive Davis, but everybody would, because he just affected everything. But my real stories are about this record label executive who was honored by BET the other day. So this album, Testimony Volume 1, is the one and only album that I did under her reign as the president of Motown. Now, to be clear, I was signed by Kedar Massenburg in 1999. And every single record label executive that came after him made me miss him. Kedar can tell you right now that there have been 2 times over this last 5 years when Acoustic Soul turned 20 and when it turned 25 that I took the opportunity to publicly thank him for being who he was and who he was to me and who he was to the culture, because he's important to this culture. Anyway, when Motown kicked him out, they kept all of his artists because that's how the contracts generally work. You can get a key man clause which says if my executive leaves, I want to leave, but it's hard to do when you're a new artist and you have no power. So I asked, but they wouldn't do it. So when Kedar left, I had to stay or go into a long legal battle, which would have been, now I'm taking energy away from my career, which no, because anyway, I'm not even going to go into my story. We'll talk about that another time. I wanted to keep making music. And so next executive comes out, I'll make the most of it. So I worked on the song I Am Not My Hair for probably like 2 years with my songwriting partners, Shannon Sanders, Drew Ramsey. So you've heard the version, the original version, and then you've heard the remix with Akon. So people who don't really know my music would have heard the Akon remix because that's the one they pushed out to radio. And just for the record, I never wanted to work with Akon. Ooh. I don't like Akon. I don't like what he stands for. Ooh. Just a lot of no for me. And also for other reasons. Like we have mutual friends and he treats me funny. Like I don't like it. But
now shout out for Arie for putting an address on it, okay? Because see, I think that's what she want to say about Young Miami too. Or once again, she don't want to be that girl toward another girl. So she being cute with it. But baby, okay, all right. See, I like brutal honesty, honey. Okay, shake the mother table.
Behind my back, did the remix and created a situation where we didn't have to fight for the publishing on a song. But she went behind my back, did the remix and created a situation where we didn't have to fight for the publishing on a song that we had been working on for 2 years. Akon came in and did a remix with his production partner, and then we had to fight to get the splits right. So if you don't understand what I mean, I'm just going to say it in very layperson's terms. Your songwriting royalties are your pension. That's the thing that you're going to have coming in when you're old. So things need to be fair because you need to get what is rightfully yours. So the fact that he came in, did a remix with Sylvia, I said her name, Sylvia Rohn, did not ask me, but she did it behind my back, and then made it like, well, you know, if you don't do this, your album's not going to come out. So just think about that for a minute. You're a young person. I was maybe 30 at the time. All you ever wanted to do was make music. You're in it. You're making it. And then somebody says, I don't care if you've been working, because we worked on Testimony Volume 1 for 4 years. So nobody cares if they use that against you, that you've been working on it for 4 years, that you want your career so bad, that you are so young. They use it against you. And then they say stuff like, well, you don't have to do it. We just won't put your album out. So what are you going to do? That's called coercion. That's one of the ways coercion happens. They put you in a spot where it's like, oh, shoot, you're stuck. And you have no choice but to make the choice they want you to make. That's coercion. Okay. I learned the word coercion from this era of my career, in fact. I knew the word, but once you embody something, you really know what the word means. So they go do thing. He takes the publishing and messes it all up. But I have Shannon and Drew to protect. So now I'm fighting for that. And then it's time to make the video. I'm in the car with my manager at the time, and she informs me while we're in the car that we're going to make a video to the Akon version. And she says, well, we could just go back to the hotel. You don't have to do this, but you know this is coercion. Because like I'm really going to just stop everything that I've been working for my whole life, but I've been working towards for the last 4 years, and just stop everything while everybody is over here at the video set, waiting for me. And also, I have been working with a choreographer for the movement for the video to the original track. My manager heard me dancing to that track and never said, that's not the one you're going to use. Nobody ever said it till we were in the car on the way over. Okay. So we get over there, Akon's there, we do the video. I make the most of it because I can either shoot myself in the foot or accept what they're giving me. Coercion. But then we had I'm going to stop here with this story because I can keep going on and on. But the last thing I want to say about this is when it was time for the album to come out, I had an album cover that I had been loving, looking at, had it on my wall. My graphic designer had it on her wall. This is what we knew we were going to do for like a year, many months. She said I looked too muscular. She even used the words, it looks like Serena. In my world, that's a compliment because Serena is body goals. Have you ever heard the saying, a camel is a horse designed by a committee? So the saying means that when a bunch of people put their hands in things, you get something that looks like a weird horse, a camel. And so the Testimony Volume 1 cover that most of you have seen is the one that was designed by committee. Like they placed every little piece of my hair, then my body, and everything was placed. And in hindsight, I don't dislike it as much as I did back then. But the one that I wanted, I love it as much as I did back then. They let me use it as the UK cover. And every time I see it, I just think, wow. It reminds me of the coercion. And so when I said in my Clive Davis comments, I don't really have stories about him like that. I do, but not like that. I have my stories because this is how the music industry functions. They use your youth and your desire to win against you. And in fact, you're just a product. No matter how much you say, oh, I love you and I love your music and they're all in your face, and you are a product. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I'm saying that most artists don't know that. And you're a product and they're going to treat you like a product. And so it's something I had to learn along the way. And it was painful lessons because what actual living, breathing being wants to be treated like a thing? Okay, let me calm down.
Yeah, because that's called objectification. And you know what first of all, I want to say that I feel really bad for artists who, and really for anybody within any type of a space and situation where you don't even feel safe enough to speak your experience and your truth until a motherfucker is dead. My God, that is really unfortunate. Because to her point, and I said it on my community wall on the day that Clive Davis transitioned, that, the streets are saying, girl, that they're ready for the Surviving series and all of the stories that are going to come forth and come out. And India Arie is, already at the front of the line. So shout out to her, considering how powerful Clive Davis is. I can't even be mad at nobody who didn't feel safe speaking their experience until that motherfucker was 6 feet under. Secondly, and this goes back to the conversation that I was having earlier in the commentary about the importance of community and family and successfully preserving whatever the values is of said community and household is within the hearts and souls and minds of the young people who are going to become the adults, who are going to live in the world, who are going to pursue careers in corporate America or in entertainment. If I had an opportunity to ask India one question, and it probably would be the question I would ask to all these artists who have been hoodwinked and bamboozled, all of the artists and musical groups that were suppressed and hoodwinked by Diddy under his label, all of the motherfuckers who were hoodwinked and bamboozled under Clive Davis's leadership and power, is now that y'all get to look back in retrospect, right? What would you tell young people coming into these industry spaces? Like India Arie just touched on a crazy and yet important moment in her own career where she talks about coercion and how she was working on a project for 4 fucking years. But the label had a different direction that they wanted to go in than what she did. And they pretty much used all of the time she had put into that project as a way to manipulate her. Because of course she wants to see her project greenlit, even if it's going to be a hybrid and it's going to be infused with some of the label's bullshit, but that's better than not having the project come out at all, right? But what would she tell like these artists right now, these young people? Would she tell them, hey, I understand you making those decisions to go forth anyway, even if they compromise your vision to some degree, because something is better than nothing? Or would she tell artists, absolutely not, be true to yourself? Because while you may have to deal with the immediate impact of heartbreak and failure and all the feelings that come when you stand for yourself and you stand on your shit, and you know that you won't be able to do that without immense consequences. But at the end of the day, when you look back on that shit 10 years from now, you'll sleep better knowing that you are exactly who the fuck you say you are, come hell or high motherfucking water. And that sense of self that you may not think is important right now because the program is bigger than you. You may think that the project is bigger than you. You may think that the art is bigger than you. You may think that the situation in the moment and to make this money and to be famous and all of that, you may rationalize. You may think that's what you want. In the end, you'll be on crack. You'll be on drugs. You'll need a therapist to cope with what you did to yourself to get all of that shit, versus dealing with the in the moment heartbreak, but being able to live forever with peace in your soul, that you are true to yourself. I wonder, what she would say to that, because I didn't hear her really speak to that, but I'm curious to know. And I would love that question answered by all of the artists who have been in these predicaments. Like for the young up and coming R&B artists, the young up and coming hip hop artists, dealing with these machines, dealing with these labels, dealing with these 360 deals, dealing with da-da-da-da-da. Like, y'all sitting here with a bunch of regrets. So what does that mean? Would y'all tell young people, don't sign that contract? Yes, your life will change in a lot of ways if you do so, and change for the better if you do so. It'll change for the worse too. And if I had to tell you a yes or a no, I would say yes for these reasons, or I would say no for these reasons. Like, what would if India could have this mind, but be back there 20 years ago with all this knowledge, I wonder what choices would she have made? What would she have done differently? because I don't think we have enough people having these conversations, and parents who are investing in the careers of their children to become entertainers, etc., don't know the business enough to forewarn their kids. They don't even know themselves, you know, like they learning alongside the kid, the business, you know. They have no idea if they are accidentally playing into selling their child soul, or, you know, if they're fast tracking their dreams. The only people who can really speak from the other side of it are the people who have been on the other side of it. So I'm curious as to what India would say.
So, I got that Southern girl pop. So, at the 20th anniversary of Testimony, Volume 1, Life and Relationship, I am celebrating the powerhouse that I was at such a young age and that I still am. Because you deal with so much to be a internationally released artist. I mean, you deal with so much as being in the industry, period. And so honestly, I want to say lastly, I'm going to end this in a moment, that I am very grateful for my journey, because some people go through way worse stuff than I go through and don't get half of the exposure that I've gotten. Sometimes it ends up being for nothing.
And that's what I mean by even she knows that she's lucky. So India Arie doesn't even fully conceive of the fact that as much as she is wanting to project respectability politics onto Young Miami, that she herself is a complete receipt and product of what it looks like when you do play into respectability politics. You still don't end up universally saved, and it still doesn't even work out even for other people who play into those respectability politics. It's still a run of the luck, if you will, and that even in her lucking up and being one of the few who was able to have a career at the level she was able to have it at, doing the kind of music with the type of messaging that she was doing that music at, that her experience was still dehumanizing, compromising, sabotaging, and she still ultimately ended up swallowed up by the beast. I want her to like fully internalize what she's saying, because she's kind of like speaking to her own shit, but don't really know she's speaking to her own shit. And if she like would like take it a step further and really like listen to her listening, listen to what she's saying, I think that could make her conversation more powerful and more precise if she increased her awareness, because she's saying so much and she don't even know what she's saying. She don't even know that she's kind of also like countering her own argument by what she just said.
Look at Cassie. She had one album, or was it one song? Just nothing to show for all of that. I'm not here to talk about that. But I am grateful at this 20th anniversary of Testimony Volume 1.
Okay. So that's what she had to say, girl, that she got her own stories to tell about Miss Clive, but not like those kind of stories, but like stories. Okay. She has had to navigate racism and colorism within her career. That her career was hijacked by the industry's racism and capitalism and bullshit. She don't fuck with Akon. She don't like him as a person. She's not calling for a boycott of the song, but she is calling for Carissa to love herself enough to do better and then create from that place to do better. Girl, y'all tell me what the hell y'all think about the conversation, honey. What meat did you take, etc.? How you feel about Spin That? Do you feel like it's selective outrage? Do you see a middle? Just where do you land with all of it, honey? Give it to me in the comment section. I got to get out of here. We got a lot of shit to catch up on. So we'll probably be live again tonight. Make sure you guys are following me over on Instagram, girl. I've been producing content over on Instagram of all kinds. X-Men 97 is going to be a whole think piece, okay? You know, we do advice and all of that shit and skits and have fun and we do the things, honey. You know, Instagram is for that type of playfulness. So get into all of that. If you enjoy the content, make sure you donate to the platform. Thumbs up, if you will. All donation information and social media handles are in the description box below. And shout out to Arie for getting this conversation started, because I think that the conversation obviously could lead to incredible conversations like this, where we can nuance it and nuance it and nuance it and nuance it, because there's so many moving parts within a discussion like this. So shout out to her. And I'm out of this bitch. Happy Thursday. Peace.